Get ready to remove the filter from your timeline. Get ready to break the censorship of social media. Get ready to support the grassroots alternative to establishment propaganda. Get ready for an authentic voice. Get ready to resist cancel culture. Get ready for free speech media. This is FSM.
From the heart of Trucker America, my boy Reed Coverdale, host of The Naturalist Capitalist.
As the left becomes less religious, they become more statist. And as the right becomes more religious, they still become more statist.
Whenever you add government, you by default remove community.
But it actually starts with Bush, right? Like in 2006.
That'd be the most satisfying, like, chair shot, ka-chung.
And I have no intention of keeping any promise that I make.
The radical messaging is almost more pragmatic sometimes.
It's bad that the state is as big as it is.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to The Naturalist Capitalist, episode 140. So I've been criticized before that I don't have women on the show enough. So this person is now going to be the most frequent female guest. And I'm not sure why, because she's so horrible to me anytime I have her on or anytime I go on her show. But, you know, whatever. I guess I'm just going to put up with it. Olivia Rondeau is back.
Okay. Well, thank you. I don't know why I keep coming back. This is the treatment I get. You're literally a misogynist. You know why women don't come on your channel? Because you're a misogynist. And I'm the only person who just puts up with it enough to come back. So,
well, you're just enough of a bigot that I let my misogyny go out of the way to, you know, have you on. So,
okay. Oh my God. Wait, the person who signed me up is in the chat. That's dope. What's up, dude? That's awesome.
Oh, wow. Here we go. Christian.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that is what we're going to talk about mostly. Olivia has had it with the GOP and she joined the Mises Caucus. So what's that all about? What finally fed you up with the GOP?
For the record, I was never in the GOP. I have worked for them before. No, it's okay. I've only told you a million times, but it's okay. I have worked for them. I worked for my local GOP when I was living in Pennsylvania last year, and I've worked on maybe 4 or 5 Republican races. Right now, currently, I'm working on an unaffiliated race here in Maryland, and I'm a registered independent / unaffiliated. But the reason I joined the Mises Caucus was because I specifically wanted to piss off the Wokatarians. That was actually the main reason. Reason number 2 was I want to get more involved with the LP. I used to be one of those people that was like, the LP will never get anything done. We have to build the bench within the GOP. And that's great. I like doing that. I'll continue to do that. But I also realize it's not the only option. I don't have to put all my eggs in one basket. So I would like to basically have conversations with people, form coalitions with people in the LP. There's a lot of interesting people in the caucus. There's some people that I like. There's some people that I love. There's some people that I can't really stand, but that's the whole point, I guess. You're just going to find out more from people. And I do find it interesting how there's a space for, I wouldn't say it's a space for, but a space that's more welcoming of right-leaning libertarians in the party. Even though I'm a quote-unquote conservatarian, I don't front and act like I'm running around here. Like, I don't act like I'm an anarchist or anything. But people like me, I still feel welcome in the caucus, which is nice. Because in the general LP, I look and they're talking about, you know, a lot of stuff that I don't really care about, or a lot of stuff I just straight up disagree with. And so the Mises Caucus seems to be open to having more conversations surrounding or like having different conversations about like things like borders and immigration and abortion, things that I care about as somebody who leans more right, but agrees with the rest of the LP on like a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. Would you say that the Mises Caucus seems to care about the most important issues and to, you know, let people kind of defer on the smaller issues? Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, I would say so because whoever, I guess, Christian, who was at the Mises Caucus booth in Orlando, he like gave me a brochure and I was looking at it, and it was basically just like, we're not talking about like a lot of like petty little social issues. So to me, that was saying like, we're not going to be talking about like, I don't know, who's a bigot, who's a transphobe, like who's that and who's that. Like, I can't fuck with it. I don't like the constant conversation about like we have to be like an anti-racist or whatever. Like, I understand how that looks good for optics if you're trying to appeal to the left, but if you're trying to appeal to me, that just doesn't work. So that definitely appealed to me. There's people in there that care about things, who want to have more pragmatic discussions on immigration rather than just saying, "Oh yeah, we can have open borders, and if you don't support that, you're a fascist," like stuff like that. So yeah, those were the main reasons, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is just purely coincidental, but Dan Cringe-Shaw, as you called him, was kind of big this last weekend because he was talking about how we shouldn't leave Afghanistan. And then there was a lot of talk that, I don't know if I generated it. I don't know who started it, but we were talking about DeSantis and how authoritarian he is in many ways. He's just really good on the lockdowns, which are a very important issue. But people are kind of putting the blinders on and only focusing on the fact that he's good on that, when I really don't know what else he's good on. He might be good on guns or something like that. But I mean, you wrote a whole piece about him with was that with Ben and Jerry's, or was that with the anti-BDS law? I forget now. It was a while
That
ago.
was actually with the anti-Semitism free speech bill that was for school campuses. I did write an article about the anti-BDS thing. That was about Governor Kristi Noem as well. She also has very similar, very pro-Zionist beliefs that she likes to legislate, as Ron DeSantis does. I might write an article about the Ben and Jerry's thing. I may have been beating a dead horse for too long, but people still don't really realize it, and people are still recommending, just support Ron DeSantis, like support Ron DeSantis. I'm like, I don't know how many articles I have to write for y'all to believe that. I just don't. And it's not because I'm a Democrat. It's not because I'm a liberal. I'm probably more right-wing than him on a lot of issues, and more pro-liberty than him on a lot of issues, but because I don't support legislating Zionism through the government, I'm an anti-Semite and nobody should listen to me. So
yeah, that is interesting that Kristi Noem and DeSantis are both that way. Like, I mean,
and they're like the supposed anti-lockdown, like amazing candidates,
Yeah, like I don't know why we can't have someone who's against lockdowns and also isn't just like a complete pro-Israel Zionist shill. I mean,
it just doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, we got Rand Paul, and you did concede to me a little bit. You sent me a message showing one of his tweets, and you're like, okay, I sort of get it now.
Yeah, because I think you're a little harsh on him, but then he made some tweet. I think it was about the police. It was like, I don't remember what it was verbatim, but it was something in the vein of like thin blue line shit. And I was like, I don't know about that one. So I sent it to you, and I was like, yeah, I kind of see what you're getting at here.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with him is, the reason I'm so tough on him is because he's supposed to be better. Like he can
do better. He can do better.
He shows it. I mean, I don't know if you saw his video about opposing all the COVID bullshit that came out a couple of days ago. It was so good. And then
I think it was trending for a little bit because all the left was like just saying you want to kill grandma and you want to kill kids and you hate, I don't know, poor people or whatever. And I was like, okay, if that's the reaction, they probably did something really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is great on that. But like you said, I don't want to give him a pass because he's like good on COVID and stuff like that. So I do typically give more of a pass because he is better than Ron DeSantis and he is better than Kristi Noem and he is the son of our Lord and Savior, Ron Paul. But, that makes me want to hold him to a higher standard even more.
Yeah. I mean, that's just so funny is, I do hold people that I've supported to a higher standard for a couple of reasons. One, because I voted for them or gave them money or something, or told other people to vote for them, whatever the reason is. So I feel like I have a little bit of a responsibility if I'm going to vote for someone or financially support them or recommend to other people that they vote for them, that when they're doing stuff that I really disapprove of, I feel like I should say something more than, if Mitt Romney does something stupid, I don't know. I mean, it's Mitt Romney. Like, what do you expect? I mean, of course he's going to do something stupid. So I don't really feel a need to, tell him to cut it out or whatever, because it's who he is. But when Rand Paul is talking about how you'll face consequences for disrespecting law enforcement or whatever, I don't know. It just hits differently.
Yeah, that disheartened me a little bit. You need to read these super chats. These are pretty funny.
Yeah, okay. We got love that you made Sherman Ree. So I had
he read a lot. That was unbelievable. And I'm blocked, but I went on my alt account and went to see if he was still replying in the thread. And he was posting screenshots of me over and over and over saying, stop defending this trash, stop defending this bigot. And it was like, I'm like, are you the only person that can't see this in the sarcasm of me just being like, oh yeah, of course I'll be a bigot? Like, are you fucking stupid? Are you fucking stupid? Like, literally, I joined the caucus. He says, that's an awful choice. There's xenophobes and there's transphobes. And I was like, oh, fantastic. I'll fit right in. And he posts a screenshot like every 5 seconds saying, oh, look, she's an admitted xenophobe. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? I guess he is that stupid. I don't really know, but that was funny.
They're all that stupid. Like, so, like Ryan Dawson, he was making the rounds today on Twitter because they found a clip of him, and it is taken out of context. But
okay, we'll talk about the context later, because I saw that clip and I was like, that's very questionable.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it was taken out of context, but it was still bad. But the people who
how old is this clip though?
I think it's a couple years old, but the people who posted it, this is what people don't get. Like, I'm not going to have a nuanced discussion with the Fakertarians or with Steve Cox or with Marianne Williamson, like any of these people who are just posting bullshit and are lying and are constantly like, I mean, if you asked me about that video clip, like we'd talk about it and have a nuanced discussion about it or whatever. But these people, like, no, fuck them. Like Steve Cox, I was shit posting him into oblivion last night or the night before.
Who the fuck is that guy? Yesterday was the only time I've ever seen him on my timeline.
That was apparently he followed me, but I didn't really know who he was until he started going after Angela, and then I just because what was it? He said,
what did Angela ever do to anybody? I don't even see what's the point of going after her.
Well, what happened is
wait. No, actually, I did see it. He was like, if you don't want to wear a mask, then I'll just fucking shoot you, or whatever the fuck he said.
Well, he said like, the unvaccinated tend to say, something is going to kill you. So if we just shoot the unvaccinated as they're dying, we can just say something's going to kill you, and it happens to be the bullet in your gut. It was just like,
that's very violent and very strange. Is he a current candidate?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's so strange. I did see Angela respond and being like, all right, pull up then. Like,
yeah. So then he said like, okay, come shoot me. And then he was like, oh, she's threatening me. And so then I ended up chiming in barely. I just said like one thing and he fucking.
You're like, no, you.
Yeah. Well, when she told him to come challenge him or whatever, when she told him to come challenge her, I just commented based on her post. And then he said something else. He called someone an idiot because they had a misspelling. And then I just replied to him, no, you. And then he flipped out and he wrote this whole soliloquy about how we're not real libertarians, tagging me and Angela. Just went down this like crazy. But the thing is, like, you'll obviously reply in a sarcastic tone or complete ironic posting or whatever, and it just goes right over their heads because they're
That's exactly what happened. Which I feel like him and Sherman are fucking butt buddies. Like, what the fuck? Like, do they not understand sarcasm? I'm sorry. Like, if you call me a bigot and I say and like, clearly that's not me admitting to being a bigot. I do that to you all the time. I hope you don't genuinely think I'm a bigot. It was crazy because I literally had people coming up to me at Rev being like, oh my God, you're that bigot that Reed was talking about. And I saw somebody comment on my post when I announced that I was joining the caucus. Like, somebody tagged you and was like, Reed, why are you bringing racists into the caucus? Awesome. And I got like 22 likes. I was like, guys, like, why do you think that of me?
I mean, even if it wasn't Fakertarians, like if you tag someone that, or if you're trying to, if someone's my friend, like, I'm not just going to publicly denounce them, like, even if I don't like what they're saying or like say they're a bad person. And Ryan's my friend. So like this thing that's going on, like going to talk to him about it. And, he already showed me there's more context to the video or whatever. But like, I'm just like these people that just want you to like denounce, just to like trash somebody's complete public image because of something they find. Like, I'm never going to do that. So like, stop asking me to. And I know you won't do it.
Yeah, people have done it to me too, because people know like I'm like pro-gay marriage, like whatever, like pretty socially accepting on that whole thing. And people have, try to send me like some of my more like religious friends' posts and being like, oh my God, like they're against gay marriage. I'm like, I really don't give a fuck. I really don't. Gay marriage is legal. Their opinion is not going to change it. They've never said anything like horrible to me. They're allowed to, believe in their God and believe whatever their God wants them to believe. Like, I don't understand that logic. I'm not going to publicly denounce someone for being like, quote unquote, homophobic, quote unquote, transphobic. Like, unless they're actually genuinely being hateful to somebody, I don't see a scenario in which I would just like defriend somebody because of what some fucking fakeitarian said.
Yeah. Aiden Daniels says, thank you for calling out Marianne Williamson. The lesser of two evils nonsense needs to stop. So I didn't think that was going to go anywhere because she's got like 3 million followers or something. But I just
she gets no fucking engagement. It's crazy.
I replied to her just in case anyone missed this. It was kind of big for a few days, but she was posting about how she said something like, to all the incrementalists out there, we are falling apart right now. And so I said, didn't you vote for Joe Biden? And then she replied like, of course I did. And I would do it again because I prefer a slow descent to a straight downfall or something like that. So, she denounces incrementalism and then instantly supports it in her second tweet. So then I said, so shut the fuck up then. And it blew up. Like everyone was like,
and the first couple replies were like mad at you. They were like, you're so childish. And then all of a sudden I go back and it has like 300 likes. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah. And you know what? I find Marianne Williamson kind of cute, kind of funny, like in like a weird, like drunk way. Yeah, like I wouldn't put her in charge or anything. Like wouldn't let her like watch my dog or anything. But I feel like I would smoke weed with her. But she kind of deserved that because she said something fucking idiotic, and then after that she was like, of course I couldn't vote for like a fascist. We had to get rid of the fascist. And I'm like, do you think that you can vote out a fascist? And what point in history can you vote? And she said fascist dictator, I think. Yeah. At what point in history were people able to vote out a fascist dictator? Like, she really has me thinking she's just lost her fucking marbles.
Yeah, I don't know if she had any to begin with. Liza Blue, how you doing? Looking sexy tonight, Reed and Bay. There you go.
Thanks, Bay.
Thank you. The mustache is trimmed. And you aren't trash. You're not trash. You're a bigot, but you're not trash. So
I thought, but he was accusing me of being both. So you agree with him on one of the claims, or?
Well, I mean, no. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows it's a joke. Like anyone who doesn't realize it's like me and Top Lobster with the truck thing going back and forth. Like, I don't know if people can tell.
It's like when I call you a neocon based off of you when you were like, what were you, like 10 in that picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think anyone genuinely thinks you're a neocon. I love how some people still think you're a liberal though for not supporting Ron DeSantis. And that one guy kept replying to me, and they were like, "You voted for Joe Jorgensen." I was like, first of all, no, I didn't. But second of all, you can suck my dick because what if I did? Then what?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I mean, it really bugs me that people are so. They think so. They think it's such a binary way, but things are so similar. Like they think that we lost our liberties under Biden, and I'm like, you were locked down in March and April of 2020. That was when Trump was president. Like, and I'm not
just saying, we're getting the vaccine out, guys. We're getting the vaccine out. Then you guys can go back outside and play. Like. That was disappointing to me. And now that we have Biden, and Biden is essentially saying the same thing, except for now the vaccine isn't good enough, and now they want to lock down again. It's like, oh my God, it's so much worse. Yes, it's worse because they're trying to lock down again, even with the vaccine. But the vaccine shouldn't have been like, we shouldn't have had a bargaining chip to go back outside anyways. And it shouldn't have been a mandatory vaccine. Like, that shit was stupid.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't know you a year ago, but it seems like you have realize that the system is the problem, that the government is the problem. It doesn't really matter who the president is. I mean, this idea that I mean, I didn't really blame Trump for what happened. I just I'm just telling people, hey, stop thinking that he had any control over what was happening. And I really think the same way about especially Biden. Like, I don't think he has any idea what's going on. But it seems like people are mostly just, or on the right, a lot of people are just wishing we had Trump back or hoping for Ron DeSantis to fix everything. And it's like, guys, I don't know what needs to happen for you to realize it doesn't matter who's sitting in the Oval Office. You know, the agendas are not driven by the president. They're driven by, you know, the Pentagon, the CIA, all these giant corporations that have bought the government out. Like, it doesn't matter. Just get some great person in there.
It's people who don't care about local politics or building the bench anywhere. It's people who don't care about changing institutions. And this reminded me when I was working for my local GOP last year during election season, I was working on this campaign for a Republican state rep candidate in I forget what district, but it was in Monroe County, Pennsylvania. And I was electioneering outside on November 3rd or whatever. And this guy comes up to me in a MAGA hat, and I hand him a brochure. I was like, hey, you know, vote Dulce Ritter for state rep. And he points to his hat and he's like, oh, I'm voting for Trump. And I was like, no, this is state rep race. And he was like, I don't think you can vote for two people. I don't think that's how it works. I was like, yeah, but you can vote for one person per office. And he was like, you don't only vote for one person in an election. I'm voting for Trump. Are you a liberal? You're trying to make me not vote for Trump. I was like, you know what, dude? Have a great day. Have a great fucking day. Because I hate to say it, I don't think it's a partisan thing. People are just fucking stupid. But this is just what I saw from a lot of Republicans who just think that Trump is their Lord and Savior and is going to save them, and they don't care about the state rep races. They don't even know they can vote in the state rep race because they're voting for Trump. Clearly it was this guy's first time ever voting, and he was older than I was. He was probably 25. So I was like, so Trump brought you out here to vote for him, but you can't give a fuck about anybody else, you know, because Trump is not going to end the lockdowns. He's not able to end the lockdowns, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I do see that in the Libertarian Party a little bit too, with Dave Smith. And obviously I love Dave. We're good friends. But some people are only thinking about Dave Smith 2024, and that's all they think about. It's okay, I mean, you know, why don't we take over New Hampshire or take over Wyoming or take over, you know, some state like that and really get some great libertarian legislators in there who are going to defy all this bullshit and, you know, try to, you know, the defend the guard legislation or make
because they just want their fucking favorite Twitter guy to be president. I don't really care about anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, you already know this, and you'll find it out more. I mean, no matter what party you go into, there are people like that who they're not. You know, they're not critical thinkers. They're not thinking about what can I do to actually change my community, change my life. It's all about this grand big idea, oh, this guy will do something, and then everything after that is just going to be great. And I mean, I would challenge people, what really changed after Ron Paul? I mean, he did change a lot of hearts and minds, but as far as the country goes, things have gotten worse after Ron Paul ran. It's not his fault. I'm just saying, in spite.
We just needed more of him, and I think his main impact is inspiring people to become like him. But he was just at the wrong time. He couldn't really accomplish much because there was nobody else like him.
Right. So I mean,
but you should have been there. You should have been there in Orlando because when he came out, it was people my age, people younger than me, going crazy. I was going fucking crazy. You should have seen there was crazy energy in the room. I think he truly inspired an entire generation of people who kind of think similarly to us. So I mean, you know, maybe that's the real impact that he had, and maybe we'll have a bunch of Ron Pauls going forward. But that's
I think that
wishful thinking. I don't know.
I think that is the impact he had, is inspiring a generation of people, but they have to do something. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's great that those minds were changed, but if you look at what happened since 2012, you know, the war in Syria got way worse, and, you know, we armed Al-Qaeda against Assad, and then you had the debt explode way worse than it was back then. You've had the continued trampling of civil liberties. You've had the COVID lockdown. So, I don't think just changing some people's minds is enough. People have to actually do something. And that doesn't mean running for office necessarily or joining a party or something. But like just being inspired by someone isn't enough. Like you've got to change the way you live, change, try to change other people around you, because we're still like headed down the same trajectory. You know what I mean? Like as far as that goes, nothing's really changed.
Yeah, I do feel kind of pessimistic about it sometimes. And after the last day of Rev, there was like an optional candidate, like leadership liberty or whatever the fuck training the last day. So I was just like, yeah, I'll go to that so I can get like a extra like 2 nights in the fucking Gaylord Orlando. But then I ended up actually going to the training. And that inspired me a lot too, because it was like some of the older people at the event, like, late 20s, like early mid 30s and 40s. And there was people who were actually trying to run as state rep and stuff. And they were sitting there taking notes on how to run as a good liberty candidate. Now, these were mostly geared, the training I would say is mostly geared towards Liberty Republicans, because that's just what Yale mostly endorses, is Liberty Republicans. But right. I will say that for the most part, I do like that they hold them accountable. If you go to like Yale headquarters in Austin, Texas, they have big red X's over the names and pictures of people who have gone back on their promises. Like if they had it, they like supported constitutional carry and then backed out of it, once they're elected and things like that. So I don't know if it'll be fast, but we do have a lot of people who want to become Liberty legislators and actually like make a change. Now, I went from absolutely wanting to run for office to leaning more away from it. I think I like working behind the scenes in electoral politics and then like more at the forefront in media, but we'll see. I don't know.
Will you be my campaign manager?
Of course.
What do you think? Reed running for office?
Campaign.
Is that even possible anymore? Would I just get like so canceled that?
See, that's part of the reason why I feel like I can't run for office, because when I was a young, like little bright-eyed kid, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to change the world and everyone's going to love me. Like now I don't think I've made enemies, and I don't think I'm like very widely hated, but there are people that do hate me, and there are people that would dig up tweets or whatever the fuck and take it wildly out of context. And actually during the candidate training, we had a good speaker, and he was just like, if you run for office, be prepared for everything you don't want to come out. If there is something that you absolutely cannot bear to have come out, don't run for office. Now, I can't think of any like huge scandal that I've been in, but there's things that I wouldn't want like to be in the public eye, and I was just like, I don't know about that. And it's largely like exaggerated by my social media presence. So I was like, maybe I can just keep managing campaigns, because right now I'm working on a campaign. This is the first time I've been a head campaign manager, and it's a lot of work and I like it a lot, but I could not imagine being a candidate, seeing it from as close as I do right now.
Yeah. See, if I ever run, I'm just going to have to fully embrace who I've been. So like the name a bigger upgrade tweet will just have to be like my campaign banner. Like that's what the election, that's what like the
you can't hide it. You just have to own it.
Exactly. I do have a super chat here from Carne Asada, and Asada is spelled like Assad with an A. That's funny.
That's so dope. Oh, that's so dope, actually. Love that.
The Democrats and Republicans are just the RNC and DNC are just corporations masquerading as political parties. It's true. I didn't realize I don't know why I didn't realize this, but until 2020 that they can just choose whoever they want. Like they really don't have, the votes could be 100% for some candidate they don't want. And they don't even have to rig it like they did with Bernie Sanders. They just do that for a little bit of PR. They can literally just say, no, we're choosing this candidate, because they're private organizations. They're not really, they're not really.
Yeah, they're not like a legal entity. They're not public. So yeah. I guess they legally do not technically have to, recognize everybody's votes.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, so what do you think about 2022? As far as elections go, do you think there's any hope for states that have just had enough of everything going on, and so they're gonna be like, okay, fuck it, we're just gonna vote all of you idiots out of the state legislature and out of the governorship? We've just had enough. Or do you think people are just so dumb that they're just gonna either vote incumbents back in or just like choose the opposite side and hope for something better? Or do you think people are learning at any massive scale, or are they just still just as dumb?
So here in Maryland on the race I'm working on, I chose to work on this specific independence race because first of all, I've known him for a long time. I don't just go around endorsing politicians for the fucking sake of it. But he is a gym owner of an MMA gym, and he refused to close down his business during the lockdowns. And Maryland had pretty strict lockdowns. Our county, Montgomery County, actually had the strictest lockdowns in all of Maryland. We're right outside DC, so you can imagine how that is. It's basically a bunch of like DC elites that work in DC but all live in Montgomery County. So that's kind of how it works here. And his gym was still open. People still came to the gym, and it was just like, watching average everyday people come in and being like, wow, so I can still, go outside and I won't fucking die. And, seeing how, county like regulators and little spies would come up. He had to like black out his windows, like put cardboard over the windows so people didn't know that the gym was still open. And people were like kind of realizing that something shady was going on, and how of a travesty it was that this single dad who just wanted to open his business and keep his business open to put food on the table for his kids was basically being harassed. And, county spies and shit would come around and like try to shut us down. And so I don't know if that's widespread, but even in like one of the most liberal areas of Maryland besides Baltimore, people were seeing that shit. And that's why I think that we do have a good chance. We have to get 10,000 signatures with a pretty significant cushion to even get on the ballot. But I am pretty confident that we'll achieve that just because people are tired of the strictest fucking lockdowns. Like even the Democrats here, I think they're tired of it. I really do. In DC, that might be a different story because people there like to virtue signal and act like you are going to kill grandma if you don't wear a mask, if you don't get the vaccine, blah, 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 blah. But they also have like one of the most mismanaged governments of all time. I mean, Mayor Muriel Bowser just fucking outlawed flavored tobacco products because they disproportionately are smoked by Black people. So to get the Black vote, she has banned menthols and blunts. I don't know how she thinks that's going to work out for her. I don't want to go to jail for smoking a blunt because it's so funny how DC now has legal weed, legal marijuana, and they're pushing for legal shrooms now, which I also agree with. But blunts and menthols are now not being sold in stores. So even though they like to virtue signal over there, I think even the Democrats are going to be like, okay, we don't want to live in a communist state where people can just say you can't smoke menthols anymore. So, but that might be a case where people just kind of like vote for the other side in the duopoly, or a lot of people switch to the other side in the duopoly. I don't think people are quite ready for a libertarian or independent there. The reason why I think there's more hope for it in Maryland is because we're already a purple state. But the purple is basically a bunch of neoliberals and neoconservatives. Like Larry Hogan is not even a neoconservative, he's a neoliberal. So I don't think people are just going to be like, oh yeah, we'll just vote in a Democrat in office because he'll be worse. I don't think people are going to just want to vote another Republican in office because they'll probably be a neoliberal too. So we have a unique situation where I think more people would be open to voting third party or unaffiliated this time around here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing to me just how many people you can talk to, and they seem to understand that something's wrong and, something needs to change. But then you try to, you try to actually talk about practical changes we can make, and they just lose it. And they're like, nope, we just got to, Democrat harder next time, or
it's like people are scared. And that's the exact same response that people give you when you're like criticizing Trump, and they're just like, well, you need Ron DeSantis, and he's not perfect, but he's the lesser of two evils. I'm like, how long are we going to vote for the lesser of two evils before we realize that we can't even go any lower? Like, I don't understand that logic.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we got here, is just accepting, oh, this is a little bit better than this, and sometimes we go with a little bit worse option. But I mean, they're always like pretty close in mediocrity. Like it's not like it's not like there's a big difference between any options we have anymore, and we just keep lying to ourselves that there's absolutely nothing we can do about it, and that talking about radical ideas is suicide. Where I don't know if you've seen this, but I mean, there's some radical issues I do touch, but people don't like it. But there are some quote unquote radical issues like abolishing the IRS or abolishing the Federal Reserve or ending all the wars, and people are like, yeah, I love it. Like, I mean, they're not scared of it. And we've just lied to ourselves that we've got to be like, well, we'll lower taxes and we'll lift some regulations and we'll, legalize recreational marijuana or whatever. And I don't know. I haven't seen too much pushback from when you go hard in the paint and say, no, this is what we're going to do. Like, we're going to legalize all drugs. We're going to demilitarize the police. We're going to, I don't know. I think
people are scared to step to me now because I've been talking about it for a minute now. And the first time I would talk about being, not supporting the fucking thin blue line or supporting like complete drug decriminalization and things like that, people would come at me and be like, you're a fake conservative, blah, 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 blah. But ever since I kind of owned that and been like, okay, and like, what are you going to do? I'm more liberty than you. What are you going to do? Then people like those tweets definitely get less engagement because people just won't like or retweet it as much, but they also won't leave a bunch of hateful replies. So I think they just know I'm just going to fucking quote tweet them to oblivion and just be like, okay, like, I'll own it. Like if somebody wants to call me like, a fake conservative or something for supporting criminal justice reform, or my tweets, for example, my tweets about Dan Crenshaw used to be a lot tamer. Yeah. I used to be like, oh, I agree with him on some things, but now I can be like, Dan Crenshaw is an Israel first neoconservative warmongering shill, and people don't really say shit to me because they just know what I'm gonna say. So
yeah. I mean, the same with me. Like, obviously, so just so everyone knows, like, this is actually who I am. I mean, if you know me in person for the last decade, like, I've always been an edgelord, like, super fucked up humor. It's who I really am. It's just online. I have been coming out of my shell slowly because I wasn't sure what was going to be attractive to people or what I'd be able to get away with, what I'd get canceled for. And I think if I'd just come right out of the gate with it, maybe it wouldn't have been as effective. I think it's been better to like slowly expose people to it, because.
So does it get worse in the Meghan McCain picture? Do you have something else up your sleeve or no?
Oh yeah. I mean, I could be, there are some things I won't say online because
Will you say it to me and then I'll just react to it?
I'm not going to say it on YouTube. I can tell you afterward.
No, tell me after.
It's over. But yeah, no, I mean, I've gone some places that would definitely ruin my, whatever you want to call this, career, or, ruin my status online. Trump was a boogeyman false flag to get everyone on their knees begging for more authoritarianism. So I kind of agree with this. I haven't really talked to you about this much. I've talked to Clint about this and someone else, I forget who it was, but I think Trump is like a little bit better than what you usually get. I'll admit that, like policy wise, like he's a little bit better, and certainly rhetoric, he's a little bit better than what you usually get, just because he's so accidentally, blatantly honest about things. Like when
sometimes he's accidentally base.
Yeah, exactly. Like when we were keeping troops in Syria, he straight up said, yeah, we're keeping them there to protect the oil. And so many people were mad that he would say that. And I was like, I mean, at least he's saying why we're really staying there. Like he's not lying about it. But what I think he was I think he was painkiller. Like he was like a shot of morphine while you still had an open wound and you weren't doing anything to dress the wound. So it made people feel like something was being done because he was so aggressive and he made all these hilarious tweets and he'd say all these crazy things. People felt like things were actually changing. They're like, oh my God, he's actually like taking on the MIC. He's actually locking up all the pedophiles. He's putting America first. But then if you actually looked at what was happening with the government, like everything was pretty much exactly the same. He'd sign everything they brought to his desk. He only vetoed like, I think it was like 8 bills, and they were all bills that restricted his power. Those are the only things he vetoed. They were like restricting his war waging ability, and then I think they were all war related. I can't remember off the top of my head anymore, but I think there were 8 bills, and they were all war related. Didn't veto anything else. He did threaten to veto one spending bill, but then he ended up capitulating and signing it. So, what do you think about that? Do you think that like do you think Trump woke people up or put them to sleep? I tend to think he put them to sleep because he made them feel like something was happening when nothing was. And now that Biden is in there, all those people are just like freaking out. They're like, oh my God, we live under communism now and everything's falling apart. The Constitution got shredded yesterday and we've got to do something. But what do you think?
I like the comment, the super chat. I will disagree that he was a false flag though, because I think it's pretty clear that he was not supposed to win. I don't think it was clear that he was not supposed to win the GOP nomination, and he was obviously not supposed to win the general. So I don't think the establishment got to him in time to be like, oh, we're going to pull your strings and make you a boogeyman to make people believe you're a libertarian when you're really not. I don't really think that happened, but I will say that he was like a shot. He was like, what'd you say, like a shot of dopamine or something?
Shot of morphine,
where people saw that, including myself, and being like, wow, like the establishment, we could finally like hurt the establishment really bad with this one because somebody who is anti-establishment is in office. Now he did, he did do some things that were anti-establishment, but like you said, he did just pass a lot of, useless spending bills and stuff that a lot of that every other president does. So in some regards, he did make people more docile, and now people are like, "Oh my God, we have to save the Constitution, we have to save America because Biden's a communist." And I'm like, Biden is no more communist than really any other Democrat we've had recently. Like, he's not more communist than like Obama or something. And I guess those same people think that Obama was a communist too, but they're both just neoliberals. They're not communists.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of communists and socialists endorse them because they fall into the party line too. Like AOC, she's not the revolutionary that she thinks she is. But just because AOC or Bernie or any other Democratic socialist endorses the Democratic establishment, it doesn't mean that they're a socialist too. Because I don't even think that Bernie and AOC are true socialists because they're rich as fuck and they're fucking millionaires at this point. So it is what it is. How do we combat that? Though? Because I really feel like there has to be some type of way to get through people's thick fucking skulls that Trump is not here to save them. Ron DeSantis is not here to fucking save them. I don't know why people are acting like, oh my God, they're all anti-establishment Republicans, they're liberty Republicans, and every Republican who's not like that is a rhino. I'm like, no, these guys are not rhinos. They're not Republican in name only. They're just Republicans. The establishment Republicans are not Republican in name only. That's what the GOP is. Yeah. So when people are like, oh, Ron DeSantis, everyone else is a rhino and he's the one that stood up and he's anti-establishment and he's just like Trump and Trump is going to either make him VP or Trump is going to like pass the crown to him. I'm like, is that what we really want? Is that what we really want? Because Ron DeSantis, he may have been good on lockdowns for his state, but Trump was not able to stop the lockdowns federally. He couldn't do shit about it. So if we move Ron DeSantis to a federal position where he could he would probably nuke Ben and Jerry's for talking shit about Israel and then just not really give a fuck about lockdowns. Then, like, what did we even win?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can nuke Iran off the face of the planet and invade Gaza with U.S. troops. But then, as far as, like, what happens in the country, he doesn't have that much control over. See, I think the solution is we either need someone good or someone really bad. Like, I'm an accelerationist, so I'm for either of those extremes. Like, I want Ron Paul or Beto O'Rourke. Like, if Beto O'Rourke were president, I tend to think that we'd live in a better country than we do now.
Because he would send the SWAT team to your house and to gather your guns, and people would be like, "Fuck this, we've had enough," and we'd have a fucking uprising. So maybe you have a point.
I mean, that's how I think, though. Like, I've made sort of jestful tweets about that, like Beto 2024, like, but I mean, there's a little bit of seriousness to it. I mean, a little bit, because Biden isn't scary enough. Like, he's bad, but he's also
incompetent. So everyone is like, oh, he doesn't know where he is, blah, blah, blah. But of course, people underneath of him know where they are. And, he's kind of a useful idiot and people are pulling his strings. But even with that, he's still not the communist that everybody is afraid of. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, I feel like if Kamala were president, people would be more terrified because she is actually scary.
She at least seems kind of like, I wouldn't say intelligent, but she's not mentally incapacitated. So she seems like she would be able to get more done. She
also gives me like Cruella de Vil vibes, just like.
Yeah, I get that, which is interesting because I don't know how you feel about this, and this is not me trying to be woke, but I do feel like people treat women, especially minority or black women, and hold them in like a different light than they would like an old white man. Because like with Biden, they're like he has terrible fucking ideas, terrible fucking rhetoric. I like unironically believe he's a pedophile, but everyone's like, oh, creepy old Uncle Joe, ha 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 ha. But because Kamala sucked some dick on her way up to the top, they're like, we have to get the slut out of the White House. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, no, I agree with you, but I think both are true. Like, I think Joe is a pedophile.
Yeah, but they hold them to like different standards, Yeah. So I feel like yes, people would be more scared of Kamala Harris, but possibly not even for the right reasons. But maybe we can use a little bit of misogyny to, our like use a little bit of misogyny for ourselves, and just like you said, just be an accelerationist. I don't know.
So run in Lindsey Graham's district. Nobody likes him. You are wasting talent in Maryland. Well, you're not running for anything, are you?
Yeah, no. Should I run? I'm 20. I don't think I can run for anything.
Run. I think you can run for.
I can run for like mayor. Or
don't you just have to be 21 to run for Senate and Congress?
Maybe. Oh yeah, because I think Madison Cawthorn's like 24 or something.
But you gotta wait 5 years for Lindsey Graham. He just got reelected. So.
Fuck. Yeah, clearly people do like him in his district. So.
Yeah. What we got here? Meanwhile, Biden authorized the 94 Act and is an actual racist, but it's okay because he can wipe his own bum.
That's what I'm saying. That's another thing, because Biden is a pedophile. Biden is a racist. Biden was a segregationist. And people do say stuff, but nobody says it with such vitriol and hatred like they do when they say Kamala Harris sucked dick and like lock people up for weed. I'm like, yes, like they are all true. We should criticize them all. But, I definitely think that Biden's offenses are a lot worse. Just because he's a cutesy old man who has Alzheimer's doesn't make it like any less horrible.
So remember when Tulsi endorsed Biden and she said like I disagree with him on some issues, but he has a good heart.
Yeah. Was that one of the times where you like wanted to like die and just like take back everything you ever said about her?
So mad.
But
when she comes on my show, I am going to talk about that with her. She eviscerated Kamala Harris, and rightfully so for everything Kamala did. But throughout the campaign, she was never hard on Joe Biden ever. Like it was like, yeah,
I'm like, how are you going to talk about her bad record with locking up people for nonviolent weed offenses? That's horrible. I'm glad she talked about it. I'm glad she was like the only Democrat to have the guts to talk about it. But how are you literally not going to talk about Biden literally being a segregationist or all his racist comments over the years in the 94 crime bill? Like that just.
Or literally voting to send you to Iraq.
It's crazy because she has such great ideas and thoughts and policies on the military industrial complex, but she just didn't have the guts to stand up and say something to Biden about it. So that really sucked.
Yeah. I don't really know what that's all about either. I mean, and he is. So this was the thing, like after she dropped out and endorsed him, I was like, all right, well, I guess we're done. I'm going for the Libertarian Party now. And so a lot of my friends were like, whoa, what if Joe chooses her as the VP? And I was like, first of all, that is never going to happen. He's going to choose Kamala Harris. And I've got videos from right after Tulsi dropped out saying that Kamala was going to be the VP. You guys can go look at them. But I was like, that's not going to happen. But even if it did, that would signify to me that she has turned her back on everything she stood for, because this guy, every reason that I supported her, because she was great on, surveillance. Like Joe Biden wrote the first draft of the Patriot Act. He wrote it, the first draft, and it was redrafted and it became the Patriot Act. But he wrote something a couple years prior that basically became the Patriot Act. She was great on criminal justice reform and ending the drug war. Joe wrote the 94 crime bill.
She would have had to been like a complete sellout. And obviously Kamala was, because she was basically up there calling him a fucking racist and a rapist. And then she sold out and probably sucked his dick or something. And now she's like the vice president. So I have obviously before that I didn't have much respect for Kamala, but I have zero respect for her now, and I probably wouldn't have much respect for Tulsi if she had just given up everything she stood for to become vice president. I mean, obviously I would prefer her to become vice president over Kamala, but still, it wouldn't have meant much more to me than a virtue at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of being sexist, I said this, I think I said this in a DM, but I'm going to say it here because I think it's true. And I'll just let you respond however you want. But I said, women in general are not funny. So when women are funny, I try to point it out because it's I don't know, it's just not as common. But I think you are legitimately funny, and then there's a few other people. But do you think that's because women don't feel like they can go the same places that men do, and then just a few of them do, and that's why they're funny? Or do you think it's like actually a difference, or would you even buy that there is a discrepancy there, or what do you think?
Well, first, let me correct the record. I do believe you called me hilarious, not just funny.
Yes, you're hilarious.
So let it be known that Reed thinks I'm hilarious. Secondly, I do kind of agree with that. I definitely have more male friends than female friends. I don't know if it's because I find them in general funnier or just because I'm around more males, because obviously wrestling and politics and libertarian and right-wing politics, that puts me around a lot of fucking men.
Yep, that's why we were so happy you joined, because now there's like 5 women in the...
Yeah, they were like, bitches! Anyways, but I have been around more men, but I do find it kind of hard to relate to women sometimes, because I feel like I'll say something that's like out of pocket and expect them to laugh, and they're just like, oh my god, Olivia, oh my god, I can't believe you said that. But men will like find me fucking hilarious. So I don't know what that is. I think I do generally agree that men are funnier than women, but I don't know if it's like as unheard of for a woman to be funny as you may think. I'm not sure, because I think that the women I am friends with are like really, really funny. But like I said, I have more male friends.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that it's...
I think I'm hilarious. I am very proud of my sense of humor. I think I'm funny. I think I'm... By
the way, she's funnier than she's allowed to let on. I'll just leave it at that. Like, I've seen some DMs that I'm...
Yeah, I'm actually way more out of pocket in the DM.
but do you think women like don't feel like they're allowed to be as funny? Is that like something that drives that, or do you think they're just not as funny?
I think probably part of it is they don't want to be seen as like vulgar or masculine or something, because I'll make jokes that I guess could be considered to be vulgar or masculine. I don't really care. But yeah, because like, of course, like I said, I get the reaction of like, oh my god, Olivia, like you can't say that, like that's out of pocket. Like I don't really care. But I think the more kind of dark humor you get, the more out of pocket it is, but only men really want to go there for some reason. So yeah, it's probably part of that, and probably part that just women maybe, I guess like if you like turn it into like the dating world, I think that women can rely on their looks more than just being like funny more often. And I grew up very, very ugly and hideous, so I had to like become funny in like middle school, and ever since then I've had like a stellar sense of humor. But I remember like all like the popular like really pretty girls I was like really jealous of and hated in high school, like they had like shit personalities, so I was like, let me just become really funny, and then I did.
That's why I do the mustache, because like as a guy it's impossible to get a following unless you got to do the same. Sometimes
I do feel like a little bit self-conscious. I'm like, do I have followers because people find me hot or because people find me like smart? And then I'm like, I don't think I'm hot enough to have people just follow me because I'm hot. So I was like, that's fine. Like I'm not like Tommy Lahren or something that is just like a Barbie but really doesn't say anything like that fucking smart. So I feel like I don't know. It's probably a mixture. But I will say that recently I checked my YouTube studio. 97% of my YouTube viewers are male. I don't know if that's...
You're catching up to me. I'm at like 99.7 or something like that.
That's gay. But for me to have 97 point whatever the fuck male viewers, that's a little frightening to me. I feel a little bit unsafe, but... Maybe I'm just hilarious and the guys like that. I find it hard to believe that it's just the sense of humor, though.
No, I mean, honestly, like a lot of women in the liberty space, they just go on there and they just post some like super blanket liberty statement. Like taxes are bad. You know,
I know who this is about, and leave her alone because she's a sweetheart.
I'm not talking about anyone. I'm talking about a lot of people.
Okay, because I see a lot of people be coming at, and it's people that I like, and I'm mutuals with people coming at Isabella all the time, and I'm like, she's actually smart. Like I've had a conversation with her. I think you've had a conversation with her on live or something. Like she actually,
I had her on. It was fine. So.
Yeah, she actually can hold a conversation. She does like to troll and like clickbait a lot, which is fine because it gets more people to watch her content and actually, you know, whatever. So sorry if I assumed you were just talking about her, but I actually
really like now I'm gonna have to, you know, do a whole explanation and a video.
No, but
what I was gonna say is
because okay, listen, because I don't know anybody else that you would be talking about because I honestly don't. I feel like there's more Republican thoughts than liberty thoughts, to be honest.
Well, I said liberty. I didn't say liberty meaning like, you know, not just libertarian, but like freedom or like, you know, just posting pictures.
Oh, just like gun girls that post like bikinis and stuff. Yeah, okay,
so
there are a lot of those, but I don't really know them.
If you're someone who's liberty posting, if you're a woman who's liberty posting, but you're also saying something interesting, I think people are going to really be attracted to that because I think it's kind of rare. Like, I mean, where guys, they have to be either complete shitlords or they got to be like asarchist, someone who's actually saying something intelligent.
Yeah, I feel like a guy, you have to be like kind of a genius or like a shitlord. I feel like, not to hype you up too much, I think you're a little bit of both. Like you're definitely a shitlord, but you do have like smart takes occasionally. So. Well,
see, what I do is the shitlordiness like hides when I'm dumb accidentally because I can just be like, oh yeah, that was a joke. You know, like if something goes sideways, but
yeah, but then like half the time you're just like America first, Israel first, make America great again, and everyone's like, Reed, are you there? And you're just like, yes, brother, make America great again. So I do find that hilarious. So
yeah, well, you got to do that. So we'll close on this. Olivia didn't take to this news well, but it's not really news. I mean, I think she friended me on Facebook before I changed my name on Facebook, you know, so I think she probably already knew this, but my first name is actually, oh, that green screen's doing crazy things. But
I did not know your name was Scott.
My first name is Scott. I'm Scott Reed Coverdale, but I don't go by my middle name just to, you know, just online. I've gone by Reed forever. And my parents actually wanted my name to be Reed, but they didn't think like Reed Scott Coverdale had a good ring to it. They thought
it sounded way better, just for the record.
Well, I didn't have, but my brother and my sister both go by their middle name, and one of my uncles goes by his middle name, and one of my grandfathers went by his middle name. So it's kind of
weird.
It's a thing. But yeah, I did join LP National a couple months ago. I did a video about it. It's when I joined the Mises Caucus. By the way, like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but since I've joined the Mises Caucus, I'm not posting nothing but Mises Caucus memes all the time. Like, that's kind of cringe, I think, if that's caucus people do. They're just always.
I don't know. That's what got me into it. So I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. But I mean, I was
like, maybe I could become the first Mises thought because like there's already a bunch of like Republican thoughts and like there's a couple libertarian thoughts. And I was like, maybe I can become the first Mises thought. And then I'm like at Yale and actually see the Mises people in real life. I'm like, God damn, y'all are a bunch of incels. I love y'all though. Love y'all. They're all coming to me in the bar after. They're like, oh my God, Olivia, thank you for joining the caucus. I was like, hey, I feel a little uncomfortable right now. I'm like covering my drink.
Oh my God. Yeah,
dude, I was scared as fuck because I saw Will fight at the bar, and that is a big boy. I was not expecting him to be that fucking large. I was like, because I was always talking like, oh, I'm gonna suplex Will fight when I see him. The man's like 6'3" or something. I was not trying to step to him.
Yeah,
I threatened these Mises people like way too much online, and then when I saw him in person, I was like a little bitch.
It looks like you took my husband out pretty well though. Like that wasn't that hard. Or...
he's a little bitch. So
wow.
Yeah.
Putting that on Twitter.
Go ahead. Yeah, clip it. Go ahead. I don't care. But yeah, he thought it was funny. Those were two separate takes because in the first picture we took my face wasn't showing or something, so I made him do it again.
You're very likable. You could win a race. Just don't waste your talent like Larry Sharp in a blue district, and nobody I talk to likes Lindsey Graham. Well, there you go. I guess you've got
Larry's kind of a legend, though. I'm going to see Larry in less than a month. I'm going to see him in like 3 weeks. So
Larry's great. I've had him on the show before, but I finally
we're going to create. I haven't ran this past him yet. I'm going to ask him when I see him if we can create the light skin libertarian caucus. I think it needs to happen. There's only 2 of us, maybe 3 of us. Not sure. Somebody said Olivia and Magnus need to have baby. Huh?
Who's the third one in question?
We just had to find them. I don't really know.
Oh.
I don't think there is another. Somebody said Olivia and Magnus need to have babies together. I hate to break it to you. Magnus is a big fucking homo. Yeah. Our kids would have really great hair and like facial hair, though, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm picturing all of them with beards, whether or not they're girls.
I think all your kids would have mustaches, even if they're girls.
Yeah, well, I posted a picture of me and my sister, and that's what all the comments said. It was like, she doesn't have a mustache, and I tagged her in it. She wasn't impressed. She didn't like that, but
yeah, Loki, when you like sent me like your like little family picture in the DM, I was like, why do they not have mustaches? Like, this seems kind of unnatural. I think you're adopted, actually.
I've only had the mustache for about a year, so.
But you had a beard for a while, didn't you?
Live and read together again. Love both of you. Yes, I have had a beard since I was 18. And then
I did not appreciate when you sent me clean shaven Reed. I thought it was going to be cute. It was not.
No.
And then when you had, I feel like you need to post the picture of you bald, because that was fucking scary.
I didn't even send you this.
That was fucking frightening. I have nightmares. I had sleep paralysis. It showed up in the corner of my room later. I was like, oh my God, I can't move. It's just Reed. You guys need to see this picture. I feel like I exposed you a little bit. I don't really care, though. There is a picture that's just a Reed looking like a fucking school shooter, and it's fucking crazy.
It was purposefully terrifying, but yeah.
Why did you even take the pic? Like, why couldn't you smile or something? Why are you looking like literally
Well,
insane?
I have ones of me smiling too, but that's obviously the one I'm going to share with people. Like, but I shaved my head, I think, like 5 or 6 times in senior year of high school. Because when you shave your head, like there's this really annoying, any guy in the stream who's watching right now will know what I'm talking about. But if you shave your head at like 3 days after you've shaved it for like a week, from like 3 days after you shave it until like a week and a half after you shave it, you'll like rip a t-shirt in half trying to pull it over your head because your head is like sandpaper, or you'll like.
Is it like itchy?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a ton of friction to it. You'll like turn your head and your pillow will fall off your bed or whatever. So you have to like, I don't know, you have to keep after it, or you got to let it grow back. And so I don't know, you get to that point where you kind of want to just let it keep going, but it's just so annoying that you shave it all
in this picture, guys, he was fucking bald, like a baby. And I was like,
bald.
He looked like the dude from Split, like a fucking, like literally crazy.
Yeah, I also have a picture of me with a mohawk. I'll have to post that at some point.
Please don't.
See, I should do that again with the mustache and then beard hair just like down my neck.
Oh, I thought you were saying just a mustache like this. I was like, you're gonna put a Hitler mustache? Like, why would you?
Well, just like the same width as the mohawk,
just all the way down.
Yeah, I think that would be that would get some likes. But anyway, Olivia, thank you for coming on again. I've got a link in the description to your YouTube channel and to your Twitter page. You have anything interesting coming up? I know you're having Carrie on the show soon or something. Or
yeah, we have to schedule that, but she is my next guest I have on the roster. So stay tuned for that. Something interesting. What's interesting coming up? I don't know. I just started writing for Timcast. Nice. Go check out that new article. And yep, that's it.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. The Four Horsemen is on Sunday, and our special guest is Sean Atwood.
Wait, when am I coming on that? Can I be the first female guest for Four Horsemen, or have you already had one?
I haven't yet. I'll do that. You'll be the first female guest. Are you having him on your show soon, or what's the deal with that?
Wait, who?
Ryan.
Yeah, I have to. I'm gonna probably reach out to him after Carrie comes on my show, because I used to book like way in advance, and then it was like super hard to manage. So probably just gonna wait and like probably a week or so.
Well, yeah. Well, after you have him on yours, then we'll we'll get you on the 4 horsemen. That'll be crazy. So
yeah.
all right, guys, thanks for watching.